Matt Black from WrestleZone.com, and my guest at this time is WWE Hall of Famer Torrie Wilson. Torrie, how are you doing today?
I am awesome. Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for doing this. I know you've recently joined the Passes platform for a new way to connect with your fans through behind-the-scenes content, one-on-one calls, live streams, and stuff like that. I know other wrestlers are on this platform, like CJ Perry, formerly known as Lana, and Ariane Andrew, formerly known as Cameron. What was your decision process into choosing Passes over something like Patreon or OnlyFans to connect with your fan base in this way?
Well, I loved that Passes has a lot of athletes and doesn't allow nudity. So I knew I was going to kind of cut out a lot of content that people might expect that I wasn't going to, offer. But with that being said, I still love being sexy. And so I, definitely have, I like to say in Passes, I can post some of the thirsty content you would call on social media for people when I know that's what they want.
Fair. That's fair. That makes sense. You've had, like, you are WWE Hall of Famer. You've had a very illustrious career. But when you think about your generation compared to the generation of today, do you feel like your generation gets the proper respect from the current generation of talent?
I mean, it's hard for me to answer because I'm not like looking for them to respect me, I guess. I think it's hard it seems like a lot of people like to compare the generations, and you just can't compare. It's a totally different time. When I was there, it was like we were kind of forging a new path, right? There was no path like there is now. Like, people know what they're signing up for. They're going to the training center and for years before they come on TV. And that was not my experience. And a lot of people like to talk shit, but they forget the time was completely different.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know you mentioned on the Evolution Kickoff show how much you would have enjoyed having something like the WWE Performance Center during your time coming into WWE. Do you think your generation having a tool like the Performance Center, do you think that generation would now be looked at or treated differently than it is today if you guys would have had those same tools at your disposal when you were coming in?
Oh, for sure. For sure. Yeah. But I mean, you got to also remember, like, in my time, we were doing a lot of things on TV that you just would never see now. So it's so hard to compare.
Yeah, no, yeah, completely agree. In terms of the Divas era, if you look at today's roster in WWE, if you could pick one person to pluck out of today's roster and bring them back into your era, who do you think would have fit the most into your guys' time frame?
Chelsea Green all the way. I love her.
Chelsea's amazing.
She is. She would have been so much fun to work with.
Yeah, she speaks very glowingly of your all's time, and I think she would love to have a chance to work with you at some point if you were interested in doing that.
I mean, I love that. I would love to. It's funny. I just did an interview, and he was like, "Do you have it in you to do another match or come back?" And I'm like, "Nope, I don't." But then in the same sentence, if WWE called me tomorrow and said we have this awesome, fun storyline, would you be interested? I probably wouldn't pass it down. So
yeah, that would be cool. I know a lot of people would be happy to see you back on TV. I saw you mention on social media last week the wrestling world was rocked with the loss of Hulk Hogan. I know you worked with him in WCW. Do you have any fond memories of working with Hogan when you were together in WCW?
Yeah, I have an appreciation for him because if it wasn't for him and Kevin Nash, I would have never been introduced to the wrestling world. What was supposed to be a 3-month gig turned into a long stint for me. So I owe him that. And I didn't know him too well. I got to work with him for a few months in WCW, and then through the years when I saw him, I would talk to him, and um, I remember it was probably at least 8 years now, seeing him at an autograph signing and just seeing a massive change. Like he found God, and he just seemed more like at peace. So it was interesting and refreshing to see that side of him. Um, and my memory of him, I guess, I don't know why this just came to me, but I remember being invited to his house for a Christmas party. Um, Gosh, he was still married to Linda. Brooke sang and played the piano for everybody. She was like in high school. And I remember just being in awe of like this is such a weird memory, but they had those poinsettias at Christmas.
Oh yeah.
They had it was like 500 poinsettias in their driveway. It was like,
Oh my.
what is going on? This is another world. Um, so I have that fond memory.
That's really cool. I know you've mentioned a bunch on past interviews. Rhea Ripley is your favorite woman on the current WWE roster. But who's your who would say is your second favorite and why?
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I have so many. I just love so many of the women on the roster. Um, Rhea Ripley, like, I feel like she's just like everything I wish I could have been in wrestling, right? Like she's just such a badass. But I love Chelsea Green, Tiffany Stratton, Bianca Belair, of course, Becky Lynch, Natty. I mean, there's no shortage of amazing women that are so talented and athletic and beautiful inside and out. I honestly, it would be harder for me to find anyone I don't like.
Very fair. Yeah, the roster is absolutely stacked right now. You had a lot of cool gimmicks during your time in WWE, and one of the ones that people all they love to bring up is when you used to come to the room with your dog Khloe. Um, how did Khloe adapt to the travel of just being on the road all the time with WWE? Did did they enjoy doing that with you, or did they find it more stressful than anything?
No, actually, she loved being on the road with me, and she was the best traveler. Because I had such a young age, I traveled with her. Like, I mean, if I just leave her bag on the ground, like she literally would sit in her bag all day, even if we were at home. Like, I'm ready to go, mom.
That's
But
awesome.
then there was a point where I walked out with her, and pyro went off, and it freaked her out, and that kind of like ended her coming out with me.
Yeah, my dog does not like thunder and lightning or fireworks or anything like that, so I can understand that pyro in that arena is loud. So yeah, I can completely understand when the dog like, yeah, I'm done. Enough
Yeah.
of that. We're out. Um, I think a lot of fans remember your rivalry with Stacy Keebler very fondly. In your early days in WWE, you guys competed in some crazy matches that WWE would never do today. Um, do you have any fond memories with your rivalry with Stacy and what that rivalry meant to you?
Well, first of all, I loved that we got to come in with the invasion together. We were kind of like the Bopsy twins backstage together, anyways. Like, just like the two of us were just like, just silly, a little airheady. And I feel like that gimmick kind of played off our relationship. So I love that we had that coming in. And just the silliness of us. That's something you don't really see nowadays. It's definitely a little more serious now.
Yeah.
But I look back fondly on just our silly gimmicks, and at the time we kind of like, oh, seriously, another pudding match or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's laughable. But I'm glad it's in the past and it's fun to look back on them. But there was like a period where like I just couldn't even look at any of that stuff. It was like so embarrassing. But now I just, enjoy it for what it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you say Stacy was your favorite opponent, or do you have somebody else in mind?
Um, okay, so I loved working with Stacy. I would say it kind of changed over time. When I started learning more how to wrestle and wanting to get better in the ring, I loved working with Victoria because she was not afraid to make anybody look good, and like it was very apparent. I loved working with her, and I actually really enjoyed the storyline I had with Dawn Marie and my dad. It Yeah, I mean, we weren't the best wrestlers, but we tried.
Yeah, that's the story to me. The story matters a lot more than the match itself. If you can connect with the audience, like that's the biggest part of the battle as far as I'm concerned. And I think you always did that when you were in the ring, and I think that was the most important thing.
Yeah.
Uh, Speaking of Victoria, she recently got added to WWE 2K25 in their DLC pack. And it seems every year I see on social media that fans are campaigning for you to return to the WWE video game franchise. You haven't been in a console game since SmackDown vs. Raw 2008. Has 2K been in contact with you at all in recent years about potentially coming in and being a part of these games again?
They have not. And I for the longest time I just kind of like didn't really pay attention to it, right? Never expected it. But then when I was in the Hall of Fame, I was like, okay, that kind of sucks, but whatever. And it wasn't until this year that I finally asked somebody at WWE, like,
Yeah.
how
What's going
come I
on?
haven't? So maybe, hopefully, fingers crossed, next year.
That would be great. I know there would be a lot of people really psyched to get you in the game next year. Like, I'm being dead serious. I see people campaigning for your addition every year. I think you and
That's
Kelly
sweet.
Kelly are two of the biggest names I see requested every year, and people get furious when the roster comes out and you guys aren't in the game. So
Yeah, I
hopefully
mean,
next year we get you.
I hope so. But I mean, I, hey, I brought it up, so
Hopefully it happens.
I hope
Uh,
so.
there's been this long-standing rumor. I'm sure you've heard it, but I read online a long time ago, and people believe this is gospel, that the WWE Divas Championship was created with you in mind, but you never got to win it. Did you ever hear that title was made for you? And are you disappointed that you never got to hold it?
Yeah, I've heard that often, but I've never been told that from anyone at WWE. Um, like when I left wrestling, I was having back problems and I was getting to a point where like my back would lock up and it would be like 45 minutes. I'd be just crying. I couldn't move. And so I ended up having, surgery, and it sucks because I felt like I was really starting to improve in the ring and like understanding it better, wrestling. Um, and it just kind of like it was like the rug being torn out from under me.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's true or not. I that would have been awesome. But like you said earlier, I try, like a lot of people always ask me, "Are you upset that you never won a championship?" And I try not to focus on that. At the end of the day, it's really about the connection with the fans and being remembered. And to me, it doesn't matter how many championship belts I won or didn't win.
Yeah, and on it, you're in the WWE Hall of Fame. People are still talking about you to this day. There's plenty of people who held championships over the decades that nobody talks about anymore, unfortunately. So you have that standing legacy with the fan base, and I think that's incredibly important.
Thank you.
And speaking, how did you feel when you got that call? And I would assume in 2019 that you were going to get inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame.
It's something that I never considered. a possibility. So it totally caught me off guard. And then it was one of those things where like you don't realize how much that means until you get that call. And like I just got the chills because it like for me it was kind of like a great way to put a bow on it on my career in WWE. I left kind of like sudden, had back surgery. I didn't know if I wanted to come back or not, and then I just ended up asking for my release. So there was no like I didn't get like any closure. So it kind of felt a little bit like I got some closure. And you know, of course, like there's all the people that were so negative about it. I tried to focus on the positive, and at the end of the day, I was just I was so grateful that the WWE just basically said thank you. That's what it meant to me.
Yeah, it was just well deserved. And honestly, you'll find negativity online everywhere. Unfortunately, I think every inductee to the Hall of Fame had some people upset that they got inducted for one reason or another. So it happens, unfortunately. But you've competed against a ton of Hall of Famers throughout your career. But one of your notable feuds with Sable, a lot of people are surprised that she's never got the call to be inducted in the WWE Hall of Fame. Do you think Sable belongs in the WWE Hall of Fame? And what are some of your memories with your rivalry with Sable in WWE?
Absolutely, she belongs in the Hall of Fame. I wouldn't be surprised if they've tried to put her in the Hall of Fame. It would be crazy to me if they haven't reached out to her numerous times. Her and China are like the two pinnacle women of wrestling, right? Um, so I definitely think that is long overdue. I don't know if she wants or cares to be in it. I loved working. I loved that she came in. WWE brought her in to help kind of promote my Playboy issue, and she at the time was like the biggest name other than China, like the biggest name in wrestling. So it was an honor to be able to work with her. Um, yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, at a certain point, she was rivaling Stone Cold Steve Austin for merch and crowd reaction and everything. She was a big deal in the Attitude Era.
absolutely.
But speaking, you mentioned the pinnacle like China and Sable and names like that. If you were to make a Mount Rushmore of women's wrestling, who would you put on there?
Oh, gosh, it gets real hard now that they've got the current talent.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go China, Sable, Rhea Ripley. Who gets that fourth spot? Man, there's so many good ones. Uh, Bianca Belair.
awesome. Four great picks. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I know you're very busy, but I'll end this on a fun one. If WWE called you today and said, "Hey, you could have a match at WrestleMania next year against anybody you want," who would you want to face, and what would the finish of the match be?
Oh my gosh. Well, first of all, there could be a lot of scenarios that I would get excited about, but I mean, I love Rhea Ripley, so that would be like a dream. It will never happen. That's why I'm saying it's a dream. And I also like I literally just finished telling someone else that my body, like yeah, you get older and things hurt a lot more. And like the only way I would want to do something like that is by giving it my all and going and training and making sure it was like I want to surprise people, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But like I don't know that I have it in me as far as my body holding up to do that. So
It's a dream. It's your dream
it's
matches, you
yeah,
know. Just 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 because it doesn't happen doesn't mean you can't dream about it.
that's
Yeah,
true. I mean, there's a lot of dream matches there. There's Rhea Ripley, Bianca Belair, man, Tiffany Stratton, Chelsea Green. I love Chelsea Green. Um, I
and
could go on and on.
It would be great if you get in the video game next year. Fans could put you against all of these talents,
Yes.
and you could live out all of these matches through video game form. So, I mean, that would work out
Yeah.
perfectly.
Yeah, I think you need to tell him.
Yeah, I think it needs to happen. It has to happen. Torrie, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
What do you want to say to your fans before we get off of here?
Well, I just joined Passes a couple weeks ago, and it has been overwhelming the amount of positivity and support that I have gotten from people that like I'm able to DM with now. On social media, it can be a little scary sometimes to open yourself up to the whole world because that means you're opening up to the negativity. So it's been really cool to be able to like create these connections with people that have been following me for so long. I just so enjoy that I have had this crazy path of mine, and it it's amazing to me that people have followed me for so long and still support and still care. They still show up to autograph signings I do. I mean, I just got the chills again. Like it never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that people would still care about me this many years later.
Yeah, you left a lasting impact on WWE and fans everywhere. And I think it's a testament to your career and everything that you helped build through your time. So,
I appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you so much, Torrie. Hope we
Thank
can
you.
talk again in the future. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Have a good day.